Today we're going to do a bunch of things. We're mainly going to be talking about K1, and we are officially a third of the way through the season. We're a little bit more than that. They've played 12 rounds, but after 11 rounds, everybody's played each other once, so it's a really good time to take a look back and see where all the teams are right now. But before we get into any of that, there is a little bit that we would like to tell you about officially. In case you didn't know, we are partnered with K-League now, so that's fun. We've got a few previews going on up there. We've been able to interview some players in the press area. Mm-hmm. Matt met his hero, Idong-Guk, and things went very well.
I'm sure Idong-Guk remembers it as vividly as I do.
Yeah, his eyes just lit up.
But if you are watching, Mr. Lee, enunciate, please. Thank you.
He was a bit of a mumbler.
Bit of a mumbler.
Yeah. Lovely guy, though. Lovely guy.
But
I'm sure he was.
If I can be half the man that he is at that age, then I'll be a happy person. So anyway, you can catch some of our previews over there now, and there is more to come after the World Cup break, but we will touch on that in another show. But just in case you missed it, that's going on. Also going on, the World Cup is coming up soon, and these gentlemen will be maybe representing your country.
Will you be representing your? Well, I mean, I looked at the list the other day. There seemed to be a couple of mistakes on the FIFA website, though.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. We're hosting a FIFA tournament where you can reject reality and insert your own, which is exactly what I will be doing.
Well, I do that anyway in my day-to-day life.
Yeah. So if you're living like Paul and you want to bring that into the virtual world, like I am when I will play as the United States in the World Cup, because we belonged there. No, we didn't. It was a terrible campaign. But anyway.
So if you win, then you can just say, well, you were in it anyway. So it's all null and void.
Yeah, so when I lose this tournament, I'll be like, well, just reflecting reality. But anyway, if you want to play as your country, if you want to come out and make fun of these guys, make fun of me a little bit, and see how truly awful we are at FIFA, we're doing that at the Retro Game Bar on June 2nd. So that should be a pretty fun one. We've only done club tournaments so far, so I'm looking forward to nation versus nation, and World Cup's coming.
Well, we've had people select nations.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we've done an all-international tournament, so right before the World Cup, it should be really good.
Yeah, someone in this room always picks Germany for this tournament and still loses. I don't know who that would be.
Not me, certainly. But yeah, make sure you're also wearing your retro international tops and things. And
speaking of tops,
there's an idea.
But yeah, so speaking of tops, we still have a variety of K-League United tops available. This is to show your support for the site. We have Paul here modelling the red one for us today. It comes in 3 different colours, red, blue, and we have tennis ball green, which we haven't got available there.
I can show you the blue here actually as well.
The blue one is a lovely colour. All 3
tennis
kits.
Ball green.
Sue on Blue Wings fans, this is perfect for you.
Yes, so you can get them on our site. The money just purely goes straight into running costs, running things like these live shows, keeping the website ticking over, making sure we're posting on things
Definitely
and everything.
Not lager.
No, definitely not. But no, you can get them on our site. It costs 20,000. It's a donation, and we'll very much appreciate it. And you can look the part in any K-League ground.
Yeah,
indeed.
They look fancy. They're nice.
They do look good. They are nice.
All right. Enough of that business. So, jumping into what we've gathered here for, we are indeed here to talk about K-League 1. We're going to run through all 12 teams in the opposite order of the league table. So we're going to start with 12th, and we're going to work our way up to first, which means Matt will be going last, as always. So we're going to spend 2 minutes per team, as we usually do, when we're going to go in reverse order. We're going to talk about their current record, how they got here, their key player, biggest question, transfer watch list, because the summer transfer window is coming up very soon. So who do we want them to potentially bring in, and maybe who do we want them to ship out potentially? And last but not least, reason to watch each of the 12 teams. And for all of them, there are some actually very compelling reasons for all of them, even Daegu. But after that, just because we made the bold predictions early on, we're going to go back and have a look at our preseason predictions.
They've not fared well.
Of the table. And potentially we will revisit our awards, but I think we might save the awards for the halfway point because a third of the way through, there's plenty of time for Kim Shin-wook to get more goals.
Okay at the moment.
There's still plenty of time for Park Ji-young to be the comeback player of the year. He's got a lot of work to do to be able to do that.
He needs to be the comeback player of the second half of the season.
The century.
Yeah.
The greatest comeback since
totally
Jesus Christ himself.
On that note, so anyway, we're gonna just jump right into things, and up first with just 1 win, 3 draws, 8 losses. So far, they are in last place. We have Daegu FC, and Matt's gonna take them.
Okay, so Daegu find themselves in last place after a combination of uninspiring signings in the winter transfer window, and also the manager continues to persist with his attacking tactic, which is great. It's positive football. I enjoy it a lot. But however, in addition to this, there's been a combination of injuries and reckless suspensions. Daegu has one of the worst suspension records in the league with 6 red cards in 12 games. However, they brought two Brazilians in to replace Evandro Jr. in the winter, Keon and Jean Carlos, but Keon has actually left the country now and his contract's been terminated due to injury. The key player is still Cho Hyun-ho, the goalkeeper. He looks set to be getting called up to the World Cup next week, and if you're going to have any key player in the team, you want it to be a good person between the sticks. And yeah, he's still got that, but he is under a lot of pressure being at the bottom of the table. Biggest question is, can Andre do it again? Last year he took over exactly after 12 rounds. Back then Son Hyun-jun resigned, but Son Hyun-jun had 3 more points than they do now. Andre took over, and when he took over, he actually only lost 6 games last year, which is fantastic. And he rightly got appointed full time, but he needs to find that again. And luckily, he's got a World Cup break, so he can get these players back from injury. Hopefully, get some good signings. That brings me on to our transfer wish list. He needs to replace Keon. He needs to find a scoring Brazilian, not only to replace Keon, but to replace Junior and Evandro, who left before as well. Reason to watch? Well, it's not going to be an easy ride, but the football is still positive, and they might still pull off an escape. And it's always worth celebrating an escape. But also on top of that, they do have a nice new shiny stadium away in the centre of Daegu, and it would be a crime if that went down to K2. And that's me done with 9 seconds to spare. I've been practicing, boys.
Look at that. Don't expect all of us to live quite up to that billing.
I may have got my point in the wrong order, so expect me to jump up and down a little bit.
See, Matt sets the bar so high, and then before we get into the next team, I do see that there are quite a few questions coming in. We are definitely going to get to those. I think we might take some at the break. We're gonna stop at the dividing line, where it's the split between relegation round and championship round. So we'll get some of them then, and then we'll get some of them at the end as well. So keep your questions coming in. We absolutely will get to them, but we're going to get to a few other teams first. Up next, also with only 1 win, but 4 draws and 7 losses, which is separating them from Daegu by just that 1 point, we have Incheon United. Paul's going to take them.
Yes, they got into this position by forgetting how to defend. Last year they were really good at defending. They were toothless up front, a bit wet in that aspect, but they could always defend well. This year they seem to have forgotten how to defend. Yes, they've lost Connor Chapman and they've lost Ha Chang-rae, but Benoist is a good player. Perhaps there's too much emphasis on attack. Now, their key player, obviously Stefan Magosa, the Montenegrin striker, he's got 6 already, but not many of those goals have come in victories, because at the other end there's goals going in past their own goalkeeper. So if they can start to keep clean sheets, or at least be a little bit tighter, then his goals might start to build up more points for them. My biggest question was going to be about, will the manager keep his job? But that was announced that he hasn't got his job anymore. So the question is going to be, can they get the next appointment right? Because they do have a bit of time now. Obviously, there are a few games to go before the World Cup break, but there is that long break before they can really sit down and assess the situation and think about who is the right person to come in. Reason to watch Incheon. There's always goals in an Incheon game, whether it's for them or against them. There's always Incheon games. Only 2 games this year so far where they've not scored. 2 0-0 draws. Transfer wish list. They need a competent midfielder, I think, to get the foot on the ball, intercept and protect the back four. They had that with Connor Chapman when he was moved there. He's gone. He's a big miss. They've used all their foreign spots, so they can't really dip into that aspect of the transfer market. But there are good Korean defenders out there as well. I do think they need a centre half. Kim Dong-woo, who went on loan to Daegu last year from FC Seoul. He's not getting any minutes at all for FC Seoul. He was good for Daegu. Perhaps someone like him.
Look at that. All right, we're just going to keep things rolling. I think, the one other thing on Incheon is they definitely need someone to help them at the back to not concede late.
Yeah,
not concede late.
That is a thing. But then again, it goes down to somebody who has leadership. I think somebody who can help settle the defence because they've conceded at just awful times. I mean, there's no good time to concede a goal, but there are terrible times to concede a goal, and they have been quite guilty of that this season.
Speaking of conceding goals, up next with 2 wins, 5 draws, and 5 losses, we have my beloved Jeonnam Dragons. They got here by a lackluster defense that let them down all of last year. They currently have 23 goals against, and that is tied for worst in the league. They've conceded 3 or more goals to 4 different teams this year and just have looked lost defensively for the most part. We'll touch on that in a minute. They've also lacked discipline at times. It's been really surprising that there were 3 games in a row that they got 3 red cards. They had 3 games where they had more red cards than goals. You are not going to get out of the relegation scrap heap with that kind of lack of discipline. And what was even more surprising about that was that it was Han Chan-hee, Lee Sol-chan, and Wanderson that got it. Usually players that are more of the leader type that wouldn't lose their head that quickly. So it begs the question of what's necessarily going on within the locker room there. It seems things have calmed down since, but it was really surprising who got those. They aren't any lower in the table, though, because Yoo Sang-chul has done a fantastic job of getting this team to finally play organized. In the, we'll just say the previous regime, things were not necessarily going as well, and it was always just lob the ball to the striker, lob the ball to the striker, lob the ball to the striker. Whereas this year, if you look at their early season games and the form that they're in now, they're spreading the ball around. They are playing tactically beautiful football right now. They just don't necessarily have all of the talent necessary to put it all together. They also are doing better now because Lee Ho-sung has finally made his return in between the sticks, and that has resulted in 4 games unbeaten. They've only conceded 3 over that stretch and held a clean sheet during that time. Whew, running behind. Vedran Jurgovic is definitely their key player. In spite of being out, he leads the team in minutes and is tremendous at breaking up plays moving forward. Biggest question is who's going to score goals. They shipped out 26 goals from last year, which were Jair and Robert Fekajin, and they haven't brought in anybody to do it, which is what they need to do in the transfer window.
Well, you've borrowed a couple of seconds off mine there. So
that's fine.
Okay.
And reason to watch, honestly, they on their day, it's beautiful, beautiful tactical football. And they went toe-to-toe with Jeonbuk for 60 minutes before they foolishly got a red card. The Dragons are playing fun football.
Well, they beat Suwon away from home.
They did.
They beat Seoul at home. Not that Seoul are necessarily that good this year, which we'll come to next. But that's a big result because they came from behind. So
yeah, the Dragons are they're punching above their weight at times. But anyway, speaking of punching above their weight, one of the teams that they did get a win over only has 3 wins this season, 5 draws, and 4 losses. Paul, that is FC Seoul.
That is, and they got into this position because of Hwang Sung-hun. He dismantled the foundations of what was a decent team last year. They got rid of Dayan, they got rid of Union Lok, they got rid of Osmar, key players that frankly are irreplaceable. Yeah. He doesn't have a style of play. That was evident from the very first game of the season. Nobody knew what they wanted, what they were supposed to be doing. There was no plan B. No. Even when there was a plan A, there's no plan B. But having said that, in his defence, Evandro was injured for the start of the season, and he has been really, really important to them since he's been in the team. It's night and day, frankly, how different the team is with him in it. Which brings me on to the key player. I could say Go Yohan, I could say Yang Han-bin. They've both been important this year, and they are very, very important. But Evandro, with him in the team, they are a different animal. Without him, they're frankly ordinary. The biggest question for me is, will Yi Ulyong be just a stopgap? I mean, he was appointed within. He was Hwang Sun-ho's assistant manager, and there's always question marks whether when this happens, is it going to be that different? He was given until the end of the season. That seemed a little bit rash. Maybe he should have just give it to the end of the World Cup break, and then we'll see. So maybe they need to assess that. Reason to watch? Well, the manager's left. The much maligned Hwang Sun-ho has left. When a new manager leaves a club, there's always a new beginning, a new start. So hopefully, from their point of view, we'll start to climb the table and get back to where they belong. Transfer wish list. Well, Jonathan. I mean, we're talking like absolute wish list. Well, Jonathan wants to come back to the K-League. It's not going to happen this summer. But maybe in the winter. I don't know.
Possibly. We'll see. Things are interesting in Seoul.
They need a striker to play alongside Evandro.
Yeah.
That was the point I was going to make, but I ran out of time, so I'm sorry.
And made it. Seeing fit it in after. Speaking of a team that needs a striker, potentially, Paul will tell you more about that. Up next, we have the Pohang Steelers, who have just 4 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses on the season. Paul.
Yeah, Pohang haven't been as resilient at the back as perhaps they ought to have been. Their goalkeeper has been far too busy. Kang Hyun-moo has been one of their best players, and that speaks volumes. The fact that their goalkeeper has been one of their best players means he's been far too busy. They've brought in new players in the back line, like Ha Chang-rae from Incheon United, and Connor Chapman's been sitting in front of the back 4. But still, they have been, after a good start, a little bit too soft at the back. Key players, I could say the goalkeeper. He has been very important to them, and he's kept them in games at times. But Kim Sung-dae, for me, he scored a few goals this season, and he arrives from deep from midfield, and he gets goals that way. He's got 2 goals from two Connor Chapman assists, which is quite remarkable in itself. If they can get him involved more and get him to link up with Leo Gamalio, they might have a chance. Biggest question is, can they recapture their early season form? When they started so well, there was like, right, Pohang are back. This is it. They're back.
Yeah, seemed like it.
Now they've gone on this run where they haven't picked up as many results. Is it 5 games now without a win?
Yeah.
Not great.
Goal as well.
Reason to watch, because they've shown that they are a good side. They've shown they're a good side, and they will be desperate to get back into the top half of the table, and 2 to the ACL. So in terms of transfer wish list, they need an Osmar type player.
Yeah.
If we're talking dream transfer list, get Osmar back from Suzuki Osaka, put Chapman in the centre of defence, has Osmar in there, because they need someone to intercept and stop it being so leaky and so easy to get through that midfield. So yeah, that's for me. They need to decide a centre half as well.
All right.
Okay.
Real quick, reason to watch.
Reason to watch because they've proven that they're a good side. They've shown that in the start of the season.
Yeah.
Leo Gamalio has been impressive at times.
At times.
He's
been absent at other times. All right, moving up to the last team in the relegation round. Not exactly where they thought they would be. With 5 wins, just 1 draw, which we'll talk about, and 6 losses, is Gangwon FC. They got here by being the epitome of a double-edged sword. Gangwon had a 3-game winning streak to start the season, very similar to Pohang. Then they followed that up with a 4-game losing streak, and it's been pretty up and down since then. They are also the 2nd highest scoring team in the league with 20 goals for, better by only Jeonbuk. And they are also tied for the league's worst defensive record with 23 against, the same as Jeonnam and Daegu. They are the epitome of hot and cold. Udos Deric is leading the way with 9 goals. He's tied for the Golden Boot race with Marcao. He has been an absolute wonder signing for them. Hit the ground running, which isn't always easy to do moving into a new league. Diego is closest behind with 3 goals, but Gangwon's been spreading that around a lot. They have 8 different goal scorers this year, so they've been attacking quite well. It's just that they have the same problem that they had last year, that they cannot stop conceding goals. A lot of that last year was because Lee Bum-young was not living up to the former national team keeper that we were used to him being back when he was with Busanai Park when they were in the first division. Went over to Japan, came back and hasn't looked the same keeper. So they went out and got Kim Ho-jun from Jeju in the winter, and neither one of them have really been able to hold on to the top spot yet. I think Lee Bum-young's looked a little bit better up there, but neither of them have truly locked it down. Key player, it's got to be Jeric. He is just banging in goals for them right now. Without him, they would be much, much further down the table. And in spite of the fact that every team knows that he's their focus, he's still scoring. And he's creating space for others when he's not. The biggest question is, can this team stop conceding? They brought in Dylan McGowan in the offseason, but he hasn't made much of an impact yet. Don't know why he's not getting more minutes, but he's not. So the transfer wish list is getting yet another defender or potentially going out and getting that knockout star goalkeeper that they've been missing. Real quick, reason to watch. They only have one draw and they only have one clean sheet. That one draw was their one clean sheet. There are always goals in Gangwon games. There are always goals in Gangwon games. They are fun games to watch. All right, so that is it for the relegation round where it stands now through 12 rounds. So, we had some questions come in.
Yes, we did. First we had about Andre. How long? Our own Scott Whitelock chipped in asking how long does he think? How long do we think Andre has until he gets his P45 and is out the door at? I don't know if you get that reference. Out the door at Daegu.
Unfortunately, I think because he's a foreign manager, he might not be given as much time as a Korean manager would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think the fact that they've given him a chance, and he did very good last year. He did very well last year, but he had Evandro,
and he had Junior as well.
Junior.
And
Cecilia's been good, but then they've been poor in midfield. They've had disciplinary issues, as we've already talked about.
Yeah.
So I really hope for his sake, because I want to see more foreign managers in this league, that he is given more time. But I do worry that he will be given the chop sooner than his Korean counterpart would.
I mean, Hwang Seung-hong certainly was the embodiment of getting too long. I think for Andre, that they just need to be more competitive. You know, I think Daegu, they had that really good 5-game stretch. I think they were unbeaten in 4 or maybe even 5. I can't remember off the top of my head. They looked good. They were staying in games, but right now they're just conceding way too much, especially considering the quality keeper that they have in Cho Hyun-woo. Like they need to look more competitive if I was to want to keep him on as a manager personally. So I would say, I mean, maybe with the World Cup break coming up real soon, it'll be interesting to see who comes back in the manager spot for Daegu.
I think the players have let him down. Because, one, the red cards, and two, I watched their last game, and they could have been 2 or 3-0 up.
That's a good point.
Before they'd even conceded a goal. They lost 2-0.
Well, and the second goal was a horrible error.
Awful.
Yeah, that you're never going to see from Cho Hyun-woo. He just doesn't do that. And, you know, Markow being Markow was there to capitalize.
Yes, so they lost to Gyeongnam, but really, in the first half especially, Daegu, it took Markow to come on, because he was on the bench, wasn't he? He came on. Up until that point, Daegu were on top, and it's just, they were wasteful. So the players aren't helping him, I don't think.
So,
how long's he got? I don't think he'll get sacked. And luckily for him, or any manager, there is that World Cup break.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to the point where it's like 2 or 3 games away. It would be too soon to think like, well, let's get a shot of him. I know the interim manager's gone, but Daegu, he has proven that he can do it. He did it. He played well. His team played well last year.
It all depends whether the club want to trust him again with the transfer kitty in the window.
That's what I was going to say,
at the same time, while the World Cup would be perfect, perfect rest for Daegu, perfect chance to reform, it's also a perfect chance for the board to get fresh blood in. So if he's not gone by the World Cup, then he'll stay for a while.
Yeah,
but I think he's entering a dangerous couple of weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few.
I mean, in terms of recruitment, Daegu do recruit good Brazilian players, and he's a Brazilian manager, so
yeah, that gives them a boost there.
Yeah.
And they have signed some of the better Brazilian players in the league.
Yeah.
Our second question is in reference to Incheon, and it is in reference to me. Is Matthew Binns still the manager, or hashtag Binns in? Referencing our K-League Football Manager challenges. I was Incheon for a dreaded spell last year before getting the national job this year and failing. But no, I've not had the call yet from Incheon. I am waiting by the phone. But if you're interested in listening to reading our K-League Football Manager series, we've got Paul Bettridge on the site. He's doing wonders with Dejon. He's just I don't want to ruin it. I have ruined it now, but he's doing a job. He's had a very successful first season, one that's better than the actual Dejon manager at present. So yeah, you can read that on our site. We've got that every Thursday morning. The K-League Football Manager challenges, and currently it's going Dejon. I'm just waiting for the next job.
And for the record, if you want in on that, join in, do a K-League challenge. We have a whole series of challenges. We'll put them in the comments, depending on where you read your comments. I don't know what you run.
Yeah. So, and then it was also just Scott not taking the thought of Jonathan going to Seoul very well.
No. It was very much tongue in cheek, but I ran out of time. But the thing is, I actually spoke to Jonathan. Right, I spoke to him, and he was quite playful in the way that he was replying to me.
Are you sure it wasn't his dog?
His French bulldog.
His French bulldog took over his Instagram.
It's possible, but he wants to come back to K-League. Going to Seoul, that's obviously never going to happen. But then again, did we ever think that Dayan would go to Suwon Brewing? So at the end of the day, footballers will go where the money is. And I'm not saying that Seoul can afford him because he's on a big contract and he wants big money.
The transfer fee.
Well, the transfer fee alone will be enough. His wages, I'm led to believe, are cataclysmic. So if they can afford him, the players go where the money goes. Look at Adriano. He went to the Chinese second division, and now he's playing for Jeonbuk. Yeah. A guy who loves FC Seoul. Supposedly,
So he says.
So, I don't know.
So
it's not. I'm not saying it's. I was saying it tongue in cheek, but it's not that far fetched these days.
I mean, if we're talking transfer rumors, Iniesta and Honda are both coming to K-League this winter. You heard it here from this very lying mouth first.
And we have one more comment just come in here, and just really to prove that we are. Elon Su with, do you read our comments? And yes, we're going to be reading them. We've just read, because we've just finished the first 6 games. We're now 6 teams. We're now going to do the top half of the table. So if you get any questions about the top half of the table, get them in, and we can answer them after we've finished with first place at the end. So we are reading your comments, Ebon Su, so just feel free to put them underneath. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, for a moment I thought you said Lee Dong-soo, who plays for Jeju United. So
he's not watching, unfortunately.
He might be, though.
That would be great.
No, he's not. I can see he's not.
All right, so and as Matt said, if you have comments, please keep them coming in below, and we'll touch on them after the next break, which will be the championship round.